This is an abomination. The UFC has announced their main event for their Winnipeg card in April, and I'm truly speechless. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is MMA 365, the greatest UFC news YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, especially because Jon Jones is planning global domination, and he's coming for Canada. He's driving his car to Canada. He's in no state to do so. We need to protect the people of Canada. We need you to hit that subscribe button. 90% of you, approximately, are not subscribed, so if you're watching, please make sure you hit that button. Thank you. So, unfortunately, I need to talk about this. This was announced today. There will be a card in Winnipeg on April 18th. It'll be headlined by Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. First of all, I could have sworn they announced that this card was in Ottawa. That's a pretty big switch up. Those two cities are not close. It'd be like if they announced something in Pittsburgh, then psych, it's in Denver or Salt Lake City. Like those two cities are Winnipeg and Ottawa are not close to each other. But anyways, um yeah, I really don't know what to say about this. I feel bad for the people of Winnipeg or the people nearby because this just isn't it. And what really gets me is I know the UFC likes having fighters fight in their home country. Okay. There's a Canadian right there in the top 10, top 8 even, of his own division. Amin Zahabi. You could have Amin Zahabi be the main event for this card. And Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott would be a perfectly fine and good co-main. I just don't understand the reasoning here. This bothers me for multiple reasons. First of all, just the fact that the UFC kind of region locks fighters from countries like Canada or Australia or New Zealand. Like, fighters don't have to fight in their home country, right? This card could be headlined by something else. I don't know. But you don't need to have only Canadians on a Canadian card, right? It's not like Pokemon, where like you need to have ice type Pokemon, but on this route that it's snowing. You can have non-Canadian fighters on a Canadian card, on a card in Canada. But I know how the UFC works at this point, and they're going to load this card up with all of the Canadians on their roster, and there will not be very many people that you and I have heard of. It will be fairly regional, and there probably will be some banger fights in there. But to get really excited, we need stakes. We need rankings. And I'm sorry, or I'm talking about Canada, so I'm sorry, but having an unranked fighter be a main event for anything, it's not a very good look. And no shade to Mike Malott. This is a perfectly fine fight for him to make. He probably does deserve a shot at the rankings. But how am I supposed to get excited for this? How is someone who lives in Winnipeg or nearby supposed to pony up hundreds of dollars to watch Mike Malott? Last we saw Mike Malott, he beat Kevin Holland, which is objectively a good win, but ought to have a pretty big asterisk next to it because this fight really should have been a no contest, in my opinion. Kevin Holland took a pretty bad shot right to the crotch, and he used up all 5 minutes of injury time. He was clearly out of sorts. So Mike Malott won on the scorecards, but it kind of is a win that left a bad taste in my mouth. And he has a few wins in a row, but I don't know anything else about Mike Malott. Maybe he's a really nice guy, but that doesn't mean you should headline a UFC Fight Night. You're not ranked. I'm gonna lose sleep over this. I'm gonna have nightmares over this. I'm gonna be tossing and turning in bed. All I'll be able to think about tonight is that Mike Malott and Gilbert Burns will be main eventing the UFC Fight Night in Winnipeg on April 18th. But you know me. I'll be watching regardless. That'll conclude this video for now. Be sure to subscribe so that we can stop Jon Jones' plan of entering Canada and starting global domination. Thank you for watching.